power of railwayism, where tension ends and excitement begins, enriching lives through selfless service. As we are moving on to a new chapter, today we are talking about surviving with stress. Yes, everyone who has ever held a job has at some point felt the pressure of work-related stress. Stress is a factor in 7 out of top 10 causes of death worldwide, and the workplace is an important contributor. A survey of nearly 4,000 UK rail employees by the RSSB found that due to interactions with the public during the pandemic was one of the main contributing factors to poor mental health. Research shows that some common workplace stressors are low salaries, excessive workload, few opportunities for growth, work not challenging enough, lack of support, no control over job-related decisions, and conflicting demands. It is also found that a stressful work environment can contribute to problems such as headache, stomachache, sleep disturbances, short temper, and difficulty concentrating. Chronic stress can result in anxiety, insomnia, high blood pressure, and a weakened immune system. It can also contribute to health conditions such as depression, obesity, and heart disease. Compounding the problem, people who experience excessive stress often deal with it in unhealthy ways, such as overeating, eating unhealthy foods, smoking cigarettes, or abusing drugs and alcohol. So one has to use some good coping skills in order to get over stress. It should be like practicing meditation and relaxing techniques, having time to yourself, engaging in physical activity or exercises, reading, spending time with friends, finding humor, spending time on your hobbies, engaging in spirituality, spending quality time with your pets, getting a good night's sleep, eating healthily, and avoiding all negative coping skills. So, let's go and see what people have to say about it. Good morning, Alan.
Morning, Sanjay.
Tell us, what does stress mean to you?
Well, stress can manifest itself in many ways. It can either be in the head, outwardly physical, or, as I say, everyone's is not alike. So everyone has their own particular way of dealing with it in its many forms.
How would one deal with stress?
Well, as I said, it's either mental or physical. But you know the old saying, nothing succeeds like a budgie with no teeth.
What message would you give to the world, Alan?
If you feel stress or being put in a stressful situation coming on, just take a step back, take a deep breath, let it be, because we can work it out.
Alan, as always, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Brian.
Hello, Sanjay. How are you doing?
Tell us, what does stress mean to you?
So,
stress means to me, stress is the result of how you interact with other stimulus and other things in the environment and how you deal with those. And it's a mental state. And if you don't deal with it or cope with it, it can kill you. My own personal view is that I try and have a positive mental outlook on life and try not to deal with stress head on. There are a number of interesting techniques, breathing techniques, and a bit of a meditation also sometimes help. But really having a positive mental outlook really helps. Sometimes that positive mental outlook doesn't work and you fail, but always having a positive mental outlook and not dwelling on things that could go wrong. If you dwell on things that could go wrong, you never proceed. So I find that a positive mental outlook and trying always to be happy and positive works for me.
What message would you give to the world, Brian?
Have a positive mental outlook. Always try and look at the positives, not the negatives. The negatives will draw you down. If you have stress, go and talk to somebody and always keep smiling.
Thanks, Brian. That was a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay?
Good morning, Chris.
Morning.
Tell us, what does stress mean to you?
Oh well, stress is part of everyone really. We all get stressed, and it all depends on how you actually deal with it. A lot of people have certain sort of things they do in their mind. They make themselves organised so they're not stressed. But stress is an everyday part of life, and you're not human unless you have some sort of stress involved.
So how does one deal with stress?
I've had plenty. I've had a lot of stress, but you just sort of deal with it, as in like sort of it is actually part of your life. As in sort of taking time out from things, doing daily exercises. Exercising helps with that as well. Helps us like sort of a mental state as well.
What message would you give to the world?
That we keep on going. It's another year. We come out of the pandemic. Looks like we've got World War III coming, so it just doesn't stop. But you just got to keep smiling.
Chris, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Good morning, Brett.
Good morning.
Tell us, what does stress mean to you?
Well, I think it means that probably the inability to, or even the fear of doing something that you're not used to doing, or of the strange kind. If there's something goes on that you're not sure about in your everyday life, it can get very stressful if you don't know how to do it or what to do. It gets really Yeah, it gets stressful really because you can't cope because you aren't prepared for what's going on.
So, how does one deal with stress?
Well, if you come across something like that, if you can't do it yourself, I wouldn't probably do it myself to make things worse. I'd probably try and ask somebody to give me a hand and then learn from what they're doing. If they're proficient in coping with what the situations are like, you learn from them and you pick it up. So next time, when it comes about, it's second nature to you and you've learned from them. So you don't get stressed in the end.
What message would you give to the world, Brett?
Don't give up trying. Keep learning and carry on as normal, but have a good time about doing it.
Brett, thank you very much.
No problem.
It's been a pleasure.
And you, take care.
Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Sandra.
Tell us, what does stress mean to you?
Stress, yeah, it's one of these things that you deal with day in, day out. It can affect our mood, our health. It can affect a lot of things. I mean, it can actually be a killer when it's too much stress going on in your life. So it's something that as a child, a teenager, an adult, we all have to deal with. And it's how we deal with that stress that informs how we get over it. But stress can be a good thing in small amounts. It can spur you on to great things. It can help you to do great deeds when you're under stress. Like I say, too much stress can affect your health, can affect your mood, your appetite, things like that. So it's something that we need to deal with.
So, how does one deal with stress?
So dealing with stress is the $1 million question. I think it depends on your personality and the individual. So if you're an introvert, I would say I'm more of an introvert. So for me, when I deal with stress, I internalize it sometimes, which I don't think is a good thing. But it's kind of my coping mechanism. But I think the older that I've got, I've learnt that I can talk to people about my stress, and that helps. But in the moment when I'm in the stress, I do tend to internalise my emotions. So that's how I deal with it. It's not the ideal way, I wouldn't say, but everybody is different, and that's what I'm saying. So because I internalise it, I'm probably creating more pressure within my body, which isn't good. But the way I release that tension is I talk about it, or I do some kind of physical exercise. I'm a keen swimmer at the moment, and I find when I'm in the water, all of the stress, all of my worries, they just disappear. So that's what I'm saying. You have to be able to find a mechanism, an activity to release that stress, and then come back to that parity where your body is free of it. And that's what I would say. Yeah.
What message would you give to the world, Tom?
In regards to stress, be aware that you're dealing with stress. Find a way to manage your stress, and where possible, if stress is work related, speak to your colleagues, your boss, because you don't have to deal with stress on your own. That's the key thing. You don't have to deal with that on your own. And the source of the stress, a lot of the time, that can be dealt with as well. So yeah, just manage it.
Tom, that was very valuable. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew.